Hi everybody, welcome to Saturday Spotlight this week. This week I have the poetic Jamie with us today. I'm super excited to talk about her poetry book and how she came up with the idea and kind of got us to where she is now. Hi Jamie, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. So this is your first book, I understand, is that right?
It is. It's my debut poetry book.
I love it. So the title is Lipstick Stains and Coffee Cups, which I love because it sounds so intriguing and gives such like a good visual, but it's also a bit metaphorical from what I understand.
Yeah, so I decided to do the title as a metaphor for the contents involved. So the book is basically split into two halves. So the first half is the lipstick stains. So that to me, basically the book is about an abusive relationship that I went through. So really dark and twisted. And so the first half of the book really captures that. So like a lot of heavier themes like depression, abuse, dark, like vultures being shoved into the earth, like just a lot of kind of heavier topics. But then the lipstick stains is the coffee cups is the second half of the book. And I always like to attribute that to the moment that you, like when you drink a fresh cup of coffee in the morning, you know, like that feeling of like warmth and happiness and new beginnings and sort of just like this fresh start. And so even though the book starts off very, very heavy and my writing style is very dark, I kind of wanted to give the readers a chance to sort of see that like glimmer of hope at the end. And so it ends on a lot happier note and it sort of comes together, sort of tell the story as a full circle moment. So yeah, that's kind of like the metaphor behind it.
I love the concept of that. Obviously, you know, it's a horrible shame that you had to go through something like that. But there is a sad reality that that is not super uncommon in today's world, and so I think, you know, what you went through is relatable for a lot of people, and I really commend you for opening up about something so scary and vulnerable, because I'm sure that that was extremely, extremely tough, you know, to go through. But it's, you know, since you've come out on the other end, and it seems like, you know, you've been able to process what you've been through in a way that I think that that really just showcases that light at the end of the tunnel of this is something that a lot of people may relate to. It's, you know, it is dark and depressing and scary. However, you know, there can be a light at the end of the tunnel for a lot of people, and it's good to focus on that and sometimes what people need in that moment.
Yeah, I agree. It's been very it's really sad in a lot of ways because I've been going to a lot of book signing events and meeting people just out in the community as I'm promoting this book. And so many people, I would say it's like one in every three people, maybe even a higher number than that, that every person comes to me and says, "Oh, I went through an abusive situation. I have a sister, I have a brother, I have a mother, I have like someone who has gone through something like this," and it's way more common than I thought. And I feel like when you're going through that, like I went through this when I was 18, so I was very young, very vulnerable, very naive. And at the time, I actually didn't even know that it was abuse because we didn't have as much internet. Like we didn't have social media really at that time. It was social, like Facebook was just sort of beginning. And so now, obviously, if you're unsure about what's happening in your relationship, people can go on TikTok and they can see a video, or they can go on Instagram or see something about what's happening or search certain behaviors. But I feel like at that time we weren't as aware of like that, those kind of dark elements of relationships. And so it's interesting to know, like now being on the other side of being able to bring awareness to it and even just kind of have it as a speaking point and to be able to give hope to people who are also going through it and sort of have those parallels and connect with people, because it's a nice thing of like, oh, we're now immediately connected. We can talk on a level where we're seeing each other eye to eye, and it's a really nice, like, heartwarming moment to know that we're in something together, even though our lives may look very different. So, yeah.
I love that. I love anything that can bring people together. And I think bringing people together on a serious topic like you're covering um, is just a little bit more, meaningful, or it's just deeper, right, than connecting over, the weather or whatever, like, surface level type of superficial small talk that we get to have. So what led you to the poetry route? Like, at what point were you like, I think I can turn this experience into something that may help other people out there in the world?
Well, I never planned to make it a poetry book. I remember just going through the breakup and being so devastated and so depressed and gut-wrenchingly heartbroken that I had all of these poems just flowing out of me. Like, I couldn't stop writing. It was my only way to really process what had happened. I went to therapy and everything too, and I, focused on health and fitness and like just getting my mental health better. But in the meantime, I found that like poetry was the best medium that I could use to sort of heal. And so years later, this has happened when I was 18. I'm in my 30s now. And I remember just looking at all these poems that I kind of archived and I sort of had like in a drawer. And I was like, wait a minute, like I have at least over like 150 poems here. Like I could turn this into something. And so then I decided, and I had the title of Lipstick Stains and Coffee Cups in my mind at first. I just really loved the sound of it. And so I was like, okay, that could be a title for something. Now let's see if I could actually put this together and make it into a story. And so I decided to put them all into Word documents, print them out, organize them all on my kitchen table, put them in order beginning to end. And I was like, oh, wow, I actually have something here. And I was able to sort of weave it together where it would make sense. So I organized all of the poems in chronological order from beginning of end based on the emotions that I felt. So to me, I read back on this and it literally tells the story of like everything I went through beginning to end. And then I was able to work on it during the pandemic, actually. So the world shut down and it gave me the opportunity to be like, okay, now I can actually have the time to do this because I'm just at home, so with no other distractions. So I had the time. I worked on it during the pandemic. I originally wanted to get it published. I reached out to a bunch of different publishers and literary agents, and I got a bunch of rejections. So I was like, you know what, that's fine. I'm just going to do it on my own, and we'll see what happens. And it's been really great. I reached out even to a cover designer. She did the design and the cover and formatted it, and we got it out. And yeah, it kind of all came together. It was a long process. Like, it came together within like 2 to 3 years. So it took a while for things to kind of get going because there's a lot of small details, but it was nice to kind of see it sort of come to life.
That's really cool. And, you talk about it being something that you were able to do during the pandemic. What a bright light through another set of trauma that so many of us experienced, right? And I know I'm in the States, but you're, in another country, and yet it's something the whole world can relate to. Your specific location just doesn't really factor in to these type of vulnerabilities that both the pandemic that everyone went through, but even these these toxic relationships that sometimes either us or someone we love get stuck in.
Yeah, it was a nice sort of beacon of light throughout a hard time because it sort of gave me something to channel my focus into. I was like, okay, this can be my passion project. This is the thing that I get to wake up every morning and do. The world is kind of falling apart right now. What if I can just stay focused and say like, hey, this is my plan? And so I was able to it kind of gave me like a good structured routine. And so it was great. Like, I woke up every morning, I went for a nice walk. I would even listen to author podcasts. And so I would listen to other authors tell their story and tell their all struggles and trials and tribulations. And so it kind of gave me some insight on what the publishing industry is like. And I feel like it's a constant. You're constantly learning about that too. Like, as a self-published author, it's every day is a struggle. Like, you're learning different social media tactics. You're also learning to have to change with the way that the industry goes, because a lot of people now, I realize, want to do ebooks as well as print books. So I'm focusing on now getting onto ebook and then audiobook. And so you're constantly learning. So it's been a really good challenge, like throughout all the craziness.
I feel that wholeheartedly. I know when I published my debut novel, our first version was paperback, and it was like the second or third message I got of, when's it an ebook? Because I always read on my Kindle, and it was like, soon, you know, and then it's a message of like, we need to change this, like not change, but, you know, like get additional formats in, and like just have more access.
Yeah, you're kind of like you're kind of going with the demand of the people. So I feel like every time you do something, there's always people are asking like, oh, when's it in this? When's it in that? When are you doing this? When are you doing that? And you're like, okay, I'm just trying to keep my head above water, but that's fine. I'll just keep swimming. Like, so I don't know if that's
the answer's always soon. I'll look into that. Like,
yeah, the list. Don't worry. It's nice. I have a constant. Like I love making lists and I love being organized, and so it's nice. I have a constant to-do list. I'm never bored. There's always like the next thing. So like, even though I have this book out now, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, when's my next book coming? When is that going to be done? What's the plan for that? Like, so I'm constantly, my brain is constantly, the wheels are constantly turning. So, yeah.
And speaking of the next thing, do you have any upcoming events or news, projects, promotions, anything like that you'd like to share with our viewers?
I do, yeah. So my one of the biggest events that I got, so I'm located in Calgary, Alberta, for those of you. It's a nice town in Calgary, or in Canada. It's very cold here at the moment. We just came through a cold snap of like almost minus 40-degree temperatures. So in Calgary, Alberta, I'm at the Women's Show. So it's a show, it's like a trade show. It's on April the 13th and 14th. I have a vendor booth there, so I'm going to be there connecting with other women and other entrepreneurs and business owners. I have a vendor booth selling my book there, so that'll be available there, and you can meet me and I can sign a copy. And then the other event I'm at is the Little Modern Market, and that one is on March the 9th in Calgary as well. So you can look up both of those. So those are my two main ones coming up. So yeah.
That's awesome. And if people wanted to find you on social media to either get more information about those author events or just learn about you more or your poetry book more, what's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, so my website has all of my information. So if you go to www.jamielouisemadigan.com. So it's JAMIELOUISE and then MADIGAN.com. And then I basically have all my socials linked there. So it's mostly Jamie Louise Madigan on everything, just my full name on Instagram, on Threads, on Facebook, on TikTok, and then Twitter is the only one where I'm Jamie L. Madigan, so that's the only one that's not the same. So kind of hard. I had to list off all the socials. I'm like, oh, there's a lot now. So, yeah, but it's good.
There's a lot, and, oh, sorry.
Sorry, continue.
No, I was just commenting that there is a lot, and they're hard to remember. But what were you saying?
Just saying the same thing. Like, there's a lot to kind of keep on top of. So every day I'm like trying to post on each one and interact with people on each one and see what everyone's doing. So, yeah. Sorry to interrupt there.
Oh no, I do it all the time too. I'm the type of person that if I get really excited, I talk, and that doesn't always lead well to conversation.
Yeah. Same too. I'm like, I have so many thoughts.
Yes, same. Oh, well, it has been an absolute pleasure to talk with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope that the people that read it can, find a safe spot within you and find that glimmer of hope. I'm so glad that you came out of it, okay, and you were able to process what you went through. And I think a lot of other people in this world can benefit from the same thing. So thank you also for being vulnerable and just putting yourself out there, because it's hard for any author, I think. I write mythology. It's not about me personally at all, and it's still vulnerable sometimes, but you're just really taking it to the next level. It's really, really brave of you, Jamie.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And thank you for having me as well. It's been really fun to relax and chat about all the things.
Great. All right, until next week, everybody, I hope to see you then. I hope you enjoyed today as much as I did, and take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.